The Penguin, issue 12, Tom King writing with Raphael De La Torre. So, final issue of this book,
Mm-hmm.
meaning it's basically a 12 issue, prestige Tom King series, even though we didn't know that at the time when it
Yeah,
started. And yeah, pretty solid final issue. Hard to complain.
he manages to tie everything in such a bow that I gotta stop being mesmerized by King's ability to finish a story. Because
Yeah,
I was like, how is he gonna wrap up all these threads in a way that feels satisfying? And I'll be shocked. He managed it here.
yeah. Also, he does the thing that I kind of was expecting him to do, which is for the
Mm-hmm.
final scene to have Penguin's own narration. Like, just because the
Yep.
whole book, the entire time, the entire gimmick has been it's always
Mm-hmm.
someone else narrating.
And maybe that's part of the satisfaction, right? That it does things that we were expecting, but the way that it
Sure,
does
oh
them,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, it does a lot of intercutting at the start. You got Batman and Penguin get out of the water in the Batmobile, which we kind of started the whole book off with, as we get the explanation that Batman was going to save Penguin, and this is right after Penguin murdered his son. So like all these threads that have been kind of dangling for like, I mean, I think that issue where we saw the like the aftermath of this like
Yeah.
massacre was like 4 issues ago. Like they've been teasing around this event for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Spider like wants to kill Penguin, and Penguin's like, "Hey, my kids like murdered your child. I can help you get revenge." She's like, "Wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you want to get revenge?" And he does fire a grenade at him. Batman has to swoop
Mm-hmm.
in and help him. But yeah, all this intercuts back and forwards until it sort of like pairs. Like there's a page where the top half is Batman diving out the window with Penguin after the
Mm-hmm.
grenade, and then the bottom half is the Batmobile going off the cliff into the water. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. I
I
loved Batman's narration being,
uh,
"Please don't let me die for the effing Penguin."
Yep. That's what I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
Just because it's like he's done this forever. He has this. They have this partnership almost, and he's like, "Don't let me die because of it." But just the way that it's handled, I thought that was very amusing.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so then it goes back in time a little bit and shows that the help is like, getting ready to like do whatever he's going to do, and it turns out he's got a
Mm-hmm.
helicopter and he actually fishes them out of the water right after they've went in,
Mm-hmm.
and then guards Bruce Wayne as they've got him in like a hospital bed, and it's like, "Hey, last time we fought, we went toe to toe, but you were in much better health then. You may want to recuperate rather than trying to leave."
Yeah. Now I know he probably doesn't sound like Jason Statham, but if you read that like Jason Statham, it makes for a real fun scene.
I don't think I ever
Yeah.
assumed he had an English accent, which is
I
maybe.
know. First I did because he's called the Help and he's a butler and all this other stuff. But if you just read that whole, he's kind of being cocky about it as something from a Jason Statham movie. It
Yeah.
fits really, really, really well.
Yeah, he mentions here that Mr. Cobblepot is setting up years of mutual success as he's with
Hmm.
Bruce. So yeah, like these scenes, like honestly, if anything, this issue goes in quite quick compared to a lot of the other ones because it is just
Yeah.
kind of like wrapping things up, and it's just thread
Hmm.
after threads taken care of. Penguin goes to see his daughter at the Iceberg Lounge, and she's like, "Are you going to kill me?" And like her narration's all about how like she doesn't have the good booze even though she has like really expensive booze because she doesn't think
Hmm.
she deserves the good booze because she's not good enough for it.
Hmm.
And she's like, "Are you going to kill me now, daddy?" And he's like, "No, I can never. You take too much after your old man." And then there's the great bit of coloring here when the gunshot goes off
Hmm.
where it goes into kind of like negative. It's almost, yeah, it's like it's not literally negative, but it gives the impression of going to like negative colors.
Yeah, because everything's in this muted purples and blues and everything, and then she becomes purple-ish, and then there's like a big blam with an orange background,
Yeah.
right? So it almost does do a negative effect.
And it turns out that Penguin, even though the grenade happened earlier, Penguin did go to Black
Mm-hmm.
Spider, and when he said he wasn't going to kill her, he just meant not himself. It didn't mean that she wasn't going to
Yeah,
die.
he already killed his son, right? So he didn't
Yeah.
lie to her and said that I'm not going to kill you. She didn't say you're going to survive. So
Yeah, so
he kept his word.
Penguin is like, "Hey, I can count on you in this new Gotham Empire of mine, right, Black Spider?" And he's like, "Yeah, go on, long live the Penguin, blah, blah, blah." And then we get a page where he's with Lisa in the limo, and she's reiterating that she finds him disgusting, both visually, his personality, he's awful, but then says, have you ever had sex with someone who just like took over an entire city and broke all the rules to achieve exactly what they wanted? Yeah, me neither, until now. And like they're kissing in the limo as she's saying that.
It's the counter of her first or not her first, but of one of her first speech narration boxes where it goes, he's poison, I should be vomiting.
Yeah.
Right? To follow it all up with that, me neither until now. And you're just like, oh man. Ooh.
Yeah, it's the idea that like that his like achievement of power is so overcoming to at least her anyway, that it overrides
she's
everything
attracted
else.
to his competence. It's not just his competence, but that he set out. Penguin is a man of his word. He follows through on everything he says he's going to do. And for her, that gets her engine revved, I guess.
Yeah, and then FBI lady is just swearing left and right at him, saying you F in this, you F in that, you F me in the something, so on. And Penguin, I actually love this scene because Penguin's like, you asked me to take over the city. My children who were running the criminal empire are gone. I have taken the city. I am now running the city under your request. We've won.
And yet here you are screeching profanity at my victory. It's like, oh man.
He's basically just sitting there because I did exactly what you asked me to. I took over. It's done. And she's obviously pissed because but there's 50 dead people by now.
And did you explain why she's so upset?
Oh no, I didn't. She's pissed off because Amanda Waller came to see her that morning. And it actually scared the shit out of her. She said she almost shot herself.
Yep.
Not knowing, thinking Amanda Waller might just kill her. And I was actually thinking during these few pages, especially when he was with Lisa in the limo, I was thinking, but what about the woman that he was in love with at the start? That this was all he get back to. And sure enough, the very next page is her, and she was let go by the FBI, and they basically said, hey, you should probably stay away from him for your own safety. And Penguin calls her after a bit of time, and basically says, hey, what we had was fake. I was never in love with you. It was just so that I would look vulnerable, so that the right people would want the right things. And what I thought was interesting about this is that I think this is genuinely open to interpretation. Because my gut, when I read this, was that, no, it was real, but you're back in it now, and you're just going to... You've realised that's where you belong, and you're just... It's almost like he's doing this to protect her by keeping her away.
Exactly. That he is setting her free, right?
Yeah.
And that the only way he can protect her is by having nothing to do with her. So this is his one true act of love in this entire series, is to, yes, her heart's broken and there's a very sad panel of her crying herself to sleep, but it is for her own good. Yeah.
And then Penguin's with Batman. Batman's like, you know what? I meant it. Our deal is done, right? I'm not working with you anymore. And then Penguin just is like, hey, I mean, you could throw me in Arkham, right? And then every so often I'll break out and there'll be a lot of chaos, both when I get out, but also the criminal underworld's just going to go haywire, whereas I can keep it in order. And the FBI is kind of not funding them, but they're kind of in charge of them right now. But now I can be a triple agent and I can report to you not only about the criminal underworld, because you want to know about that, but also about corrupt federal agents and what they're up to and what they're doing and what they want out of Gotham City. I could be all your eyes and ears. And Batman just stands there in the exact same pose and silent, and obviously his face is in complete shadow. So you just get this idea that he's standing there seething, that Penguin's got a point and that he's right.
And it's the way that Penguin's in a different position in every panel.
Oh yeah, he's walking around him in circles.
Literally. And he has him literally wrapped up.
Yeah.
What's Batman gonna do? And he says, perhaps, but are you a good man? Or after it's all said and done, all the bodies are cleared off the pavement. Is this just another, sad, edited word, acting on his worst impulses in the hope of repairing a stupid, broken childhood? He goes, like me. And I was like, oh man, Cobblepot Scott, Bruce's number down.
Oh yeah,
right?
now that he knows he's Bruce, like he's able to like appeal to him in a way that, and it's worth mentioning that final part, like me, the end of that sentence is on the next page, which is a full page spread of like from behind them, just looking down at the city. And Batman narrates at the end of this page where he says the whack whack, and he's at his narration,
Right.
which leads us to the final scene, which is Penguin and his civvies on a park bench. And I was thinking this was even this was before. This was like before he get taken in by the FBI. This was when he was living as a normal guy in Metropolis. Based on his clothes, based on the fact that it's got a sunny city,
Yeah.
But he's feeding a bird in the park. He's just sitting there on the bench, and he's narrating and talking about, there's so many voices in Gotham, from the hot dog vendor to the more crazy things like the Joker and the Batman. Everyone's got their own story. Everyone's trying to get noticed and say that they're special and be kind of loud and whatever. But he says it scares away the little ones. It scares away the birds, and that's why he prefers to keep his quiet in his city. And it's almost like a reference to the fact that we've not heard him narrate the entire book until this last scene. Is that he likes to keep things quiet, because all these other villains are all like, look at me, Batman, I've got a riddle for you. Look at me, I've got a bunch of hostages. That's not Penguin.
I'm gonna flip a coin and decide what happens. No, Penguin's gonna sit and wait and observe, and be quiet so he doesn't startle the birds. And the birds are everybody in the city, right? Like he's gonna move.
Yeah, kind of.
Silence.
But I also think, like, not that he's freeing this bird, but the way the bird flies off, I almost thought it was maybe mirroring the idea that you let the women go, like, like be free kind of thing.
There's that, and the bird's eating out of his hand, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's maybe more indicative of the people of Gotham being the birds that he looks at. Yeah.
Yeah. And so very, very good ending for this. So regardless if this is before or after, the message is people are. He knows how to manipulate people. That is Ozzy's entire thing, and we've seen that over 12 issues, and it was very satisfying.
Yeah. I think this all came together very well. It had great pacing. It built up. The only thing really going against it is just how spectacular some of other like King's 12-issue books are. It's not. It's probably not in the top 5 of those, but it's still excellent. It's still very, very good. So, the art's been stunning throughout this issue and the whole series. It's been a really funny book at times, really darkly funny. There's a lot of black humor in here. Him assembling the team, how he like blackmailed some of them, like all that stuff was hilarious. Everything with the FBI lady like getting pissed off and swearing at him, all that was entertaining.
Yeah.
And then by the end, this idea that he like had this deal for years where he was kind of taking advantage of Batman, and Batman like kind of suspected it, but kind of had to just go along with it because he did get a lot of useful things out of him. But then at the end, like when he tries to break away, like Penguin, knowing that he's Bruce, just lets him appeal to him and like bring up like, and the idea that Batman never says a word, he just stands there in silence, and you can tell that he is like think is like for the first time in his life, he's like, maybe I could just throw him off the roof. No one would know. No one would know it was me.
I mean, and that's what Oswald did to his mom, right? So they are, and he's like, so what? You're just a product of a messed up childhood like I am. We're not so different, you and I, Batman. So yeah,
it's a really generic thing for a villain to say, but I get why you're saying it.
Yeah.
All right, what are you rating the Penguin issue 12?
I'm gonna give this, I'll give it the 9. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the best issue of the series. I think there's a couple that stand above it, but it probably still gets to the 9 because it's satisfying. It brings everything together. So very good.